Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all. We're going to continue our reading from Caitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 20, verse number 166. We will continue our reading from today. Mukam karoti vachalam paggum langhayate girim yat kripatamam vande Shri Gurum Din Tarinam Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. So yesterday we finished on Shlok 165, where we read that the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists in three principal forms: Swayam Rupa, Tad Ekatma Rupa, and Avesha Rupa. So you can listen to the yesterday's reading again, or even if you wish to, you can have a look on the Veda base or hear some classes about these three forms. So just to give a recap, Lord's Avesha forms are explained in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, and it is said that a living entity who is specifically empowered by the Lord with knowledge or strength is technically called Avesha Rupa. Okay, and the Dekatma Rupa is also described in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, says in Shlok 165 from yesterday. Now the Dekatma Rupa form exists simultaneously with the Swayam Rupa form and are non-different. At the same time, their bodily features and specific activities appears to be different. There are two. They appear. The Tadekatma Rupa forms are divided into two categories. It says Swamsha and Vilasa. And Bhagwan is the Swayam Rupa, as we know. That's his original form. Now let's move on to verse number 166. Swayam Rupa Swayam Prakasha Dui Rupe Sfurti Swayam Rupe Ek Krishna Vrache Gopamurti. The original form of the Lord Swayam Rupa is exhibited in two forms, Swayam Rupa and Swayam Prakasha. In his original form as Swayam Rupa, Krishna is observed as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. Verse 168. Sorry, 167. Prabhav Vaibhav Rupe Dvividha Prakashe Eka Vapu Bahu Rupa Yaiche Haila Rase. In his original form, Krishna manifests himself in two features, Prabhav and Vaibhav. He expands his one original form into many, as he did during the Rasa Lila dance. Verse 168. Mahishi Vivahe Haila Bahu Vidha Murti Prabhava Prakasha Ai Shastra Parasiddhi. When the Lord married 16,108 wives at Dwarka, he expanded himself into many forms. These expansions and the expansions at the Rasa dance are called Prabhav Prakash, according to the directions of revealed scriptures. Verse 169. Saubhariyadi Prayase Kaya Vyuha Naya Kaya Vyuha Haile Naradera Visamay Nahaya. The Prabhav Prakash expansions of Lord Krishna are not like the expansions of the sage Saubhari. Had they been so, Narad would have not been astonished to see them. Verse 170. Chitram Bataitad Ekena Vapusha Yugat Pat Prithak Griheshu Dvi Ashta Sahasram Striya Eka Udavahat. It is astounding that Lord Krishna, who is one without a second, expanded himself in 16,000 similar forms to marry 16,000 queens in their respective homes. Purport: this verse is spoken by Narad Muni in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 69, verse number 2. Verse number 171. Sevapu se akriti prathak yadi bhase Bhavavesha Bhede Nama Vaibhava Prakashe. If one form or feature is differently manifested according to different emotional features, it is called Vaibhav Prakash. I'll repeat that if one form or feature is differently manifested according to different emotional features, it is called the Vaibhav Prakash. So, how Krishna expanded himself into 16,108 forms was the Prabhav Prakash expansion. So if the features are changed according to the emotional features of expansion, then it is called the Vaibhav Prakash. Otherwise, like the 16,000, in the case of 16,008, 108 queens, Krishna expanded, that was the Prabhav Prakash. Verse 172, Ananta Prakashe Krishnera Nahi Murti Bheda Akara Varana Astra Bhede Nama Vibheda. When the Lord expands himself in innumerable forms, there is no difference in the forms, but due to different features, bodily colors and weapons, the names are different. Verse number 173. Anyen cha samaskritaatmano vidhinabha bhitena te yajanti tvanmayastvam vai bahumurti ekamurtikam. In different Vedic scriptures, there are prescribed rules and regulative principles for worshipping different types of forms. When one is purified by these rules and regulations, he worships you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although manifested in many forms, you are one. Purport: this verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.40.7. In the Vedas, it is stated that the one becomes many, eko bahusyam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself in various forms: Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and Shakti Tattva. According to the Vedic literatures, there are different regulative principles for the worship of each of these forms. If one takes advantage of the Vedic literatures and purifies himself by following the rules and regulations, ultimately he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita 4.11, Mama Vartamanu Vartante Manushyaha Partha Sarvashaha. Worship of the demigods is in a sense worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but such worship is said to be avidhi purvakam, improper. Actually, demigod worship is meant for unintelligent men. One who is intelligent considers the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. One who worships demigods worships the Supreme Lord indirectly, but according to the revealed scriptures, there is no need to worship him indirectly. One can worship him directly. Verse number 174. Vaibhav Prakasha Krishnera Shri Balaram Varnamatra Bheda Sabha Krishnera Saman. The first manifestation of the Vaibhav feature of Krishna is Shri Balramji. Shri Balram and Krishna have different bodily colors, but otherwise Shri Balram is equal to Krishna in all respects. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. To understand the difference between Swayam Rupa, Tadekatma Rupa, Avesha, Prabhav and Vaibhav, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given the following description. In the beginning, Krishna has three bodily features: Swayam Rupa, as a covered boy in Vrindavan; Tadekatma Rupa, which is divided into Swamshaka and Vilas; and Avesh Rupa, the Swamshaka or expansions of the personal potency are Karunadakshay Vishnu, next is Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and the last is Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Incarnations such as fish, tortoise, boar, and Nrisimha, these are all the Swamsaka or the expansions of the personal potency. The Vilas Rup has a Prabhav division including Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. There is also a Vaibhav division in which there are 24 forms including the second Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. For each of these there are 3 forms, therefore there are 12 forms together. These 12 forms constitute the predominant names for the 12 months of the year as well as the 12 tilak marks on the body. I'll repeat. There's also a Vaibhav division in which there are 24 forms including the second Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. For each of these there are 3 forms, therefore there are 12 forms. Altogether these 12 forms constitute the predominant names for the 12 months of the year as well as the 12 tilak marks on the body. Each of the 4 personalities of Godhead expands into 2 other forms. Thus there are 8 forms such as Purushottam, Achyuta, etc., the 4 forms Vasudeva, etc., the 12 Keshava, etc., and the 8 Purushottam, etc. altogether constitute 24 forms. The forms are differently named in accordance with the placement of the weapons they hold in their 4 hands. So this is so interesting, isn't it? So each of the 4 personalities of Godhead expands into 2 other forms. Thus there are 8 forms such as Purushottam, Achyuta, etc., the 4 forms Vasudeva, the 12 Keshava, etc., and the 8 Purushottam, etc. So altogether there are 24 forms, and these forms are differently named according to the placement of the weapons in their 4 hands. So Prabhupada has explained so beautifully and so simply that if you ever get doubtful, you can just look at these purports again and refresh your knowledge. Verse number 175. Vaibhav Prakasha Yaiche Devaki Tanuja Vibhuja Swarupa Kabhu Kabhu Haya Chaturbhuja. As example of Vaibhav Prakash is the son of Devaki. He sometimes has 2 hands and sometimes 4 hands. Purport: when Lord Krishna took his birth, he appeared outside the womb as 4-handed Vishnu. Then Devaki and Vasudeva offered their praise to him and asked him to assume his 2-handed form. The Lord immediately assumed his 2-handed form and ordered that he be transferred to Gokul on the other side of the river Yamuna. Verse 176. Ye kale dvibhuja nama vaibhav prakasha chaturbhuja haile nama prabhava prakasha. When the Lord is 2-handed, he is called Vaibhav Prakash, and when he is 4-handed, he is called Prabhav Prakash. So 2-hand form is Vaibhav Prakash, and the 4-hand form is the Prabhav Prakash. Verse 177. Swayam Rupera Gopavesha Gopavimana Vasudeva Kshatriya Vesha Ami Kshatriya Jnanan. In his original form, the Lord dresses like a cowherd boy and thinks himself one. When he appears as Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, his dress and consciousness are those of Kshatriya warrior. Verse 178. Saundarya Aishwarya Madhurya Vedgadhya Vilasa Rajendra Nandane Iha Adhik Ullasa. When one compares the beauty, opulence, sweetness, and intellectual pastimes of Vasudeva the warrior to Krishna the cowherd boy, son of Nanda Maharaj, one sees that Krishna's attributes are more pleasant. Verse 179. Govindera Madhuri Dekhi Vasudeve Rakshobha Se Madhuri Aswadite Upajaya Lobha. Kshobha means agitation. Indeed, Vasudeva is agitated just to see the sweetness of Govinda, and transcendental greed awakens him to enjoy that sweetness. Verse 180. Udgirna bhuta madhuri parimalasya bhira lilasya me dvaitam hanta samikshayan muhur asau chitriyate charanaha chetah keli kutuhalatara halo taralitam satyam sakhe mamakam yasya prekshya swarupatam vrajavadhu sarupyam anivichati. Vrajavadhu are the gopis, the damsels of Vrajabhumi. My dear friend, this dramatic actor appears like a second form of my own self. Just like a picture, he displays my pastimes as a cowherd boy, overflowing with wonderfully attractive sweetness and fragrance, which are so dear to the damsels of Vraja. When I see such a display, my heart becomes greatly excited. I long for such pastimes and desire a form exactly like that of the damsels of Vraja. But this verse is found in the Lalita Madhava 4.19. It was spoken by Vasudeva in Dwarka. So even when Bhagwan was in Dwarka, he used to reminisce, he used to remember the pastimes of Rajbhumi, because that gives him the ultimate happiness. Verse 181, Mathuraya yaiche Gandharva Nritya Darshane Punha Dwarkate yaiche Chitra Vilokane. One instance of Vasudev's attraction to Krishna occurred when Vasudeva saw the Gandharva dance at Mathura. Another instance occurred in Dwarka when Vasudeva was surprised to see a picture of Krishna. Verse 182. Aparikalita purvaha kash chamatkarakari sfrutau mama gariyan esha madhurya puraha ayam aham apihanta prekshayam labdha chetaha sarvasam upabhoktum kamaye radhikeva. Radhika eva means like Srimati Radharani, who manifests an abundance of sweetness greater than mine, which has never been experienced before and which causes wonder to all. Alas, I myself, my mind bewildered upon seeing this beautiful, impetuously desire to enjoy it like Srimati Radharani. But this verse is spoken by Vasudeva in Dwarka, is also recorded by Srila Rupa Gosvāmī in his Lalita Madhava 8.34. Verse 183. Sevapu bhinna bhase kichu bhinna kara bhava veshakriti bhede tadekatma namatanra. When the body is a little differently manifested and its features are a little different in transcendental emotion and form, it is called Tad Ek Atma. Verse 184. Tad Ekatma Rupe Vilasa Swamsha Dui Bheda Vilasa Swamshera Bhede Vividha Vibheda. In the Tad Ekatma Roop, there are pastime expansions, vilas, and personal expansions, Swamsha. Consequently, there are two divisions according to pastime and personal expansion. There are various differences. Purport: the Lord's vilas expansions are described in the following verse from the Lagu Bhagavatamrita 1.15. Swarupam anyakaram yat tasya bhati vilasatah prayinatma samam shaktya sa vilaso nigatyate. When the Lord displays numerous forms with different features of his inconceivable potency, such forms are called vilas vigrahas. The Lord Swamsha expansions are also described in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita 1.117. Tadrisho Nyuna Shaktim Yo Vyan Kati Swamsha Irita Shankara Sanadir Matsyadir Yatha Tattat Swadhamasu. When a form of Krishna is not different from the original form but is less important and exhibits less potency, it is called Swamsha. Example of Swamsha expansions can be found in quadruple forms of the Lord residing in their respective places, beginning with Sankarshan, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, and also in the Purusha avatars, Lila avatars, Manvantar avatars, and Yuga avatars. Verse 185. Prabhav Vaibhav Bhede Vilasa Dvidikara Vilasera Vilas Veda Ananta Prakar. Again, the Vilas forms are divided into two full categories, Prabhava and Vaibhav. Again, the pastimes of these forms are of unlimited variety. Verse 186. Prabhava Vilasa Vasudeva Sankarshana Pradyumna Nrudha Mukhya Chari Jana. The chief quadruple expansions are named Vasudeva Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These are called the Prabhava Vilas. Verse 187. Rachiko Prabhava Ramera Pure Kshatriya Bhavana Varnavesha Bheda Tate Vilasa Tandra Nama. Balaram, who has the same original form as Krishna, is himself a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, and he also considers himself a member of the Kshatriyas in Dwaraka. Thus his color and dress are different, and he is called a pastime form of Krishna. So it's a very beautiful thing to remember. Prabhupada is clearly telling us that Balaramji is the pastime form of Krishna. Only the difference is in the color between the two. Verse 188. Vaibhav prakashe ar prabha vilase eki murtaye baladeva bhava bhede bhase. Shri Balram is a Vaibhav Prakash manifestation of Krishna. He is also manifested in the original quadruple expansions of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. These are Prabha Vilas expansions with different emotions. So, when there are different emotions, they will look different, like we did earlier on. Prabhav expansions. Verse 189. Adi Chaturvyuha Inhar Keha Nahi Sama Ananta Chaturvyuha Ganera Prakatya Karana. The first expansion of the Chaturvyu quadruple forms is unique. There is nothing to compare with them. These quadruple forms are the source of unlimited quadruple forms. Verse 190. Krishnera Echari Prabhava Vilasa Dwarka Mathura Pure Nitya Inhara Vasa. These four pastime forms of Lord Krishna reside eternally in Dwarka and Mathura. Verse 191. Echari Haite Chabisha Murti Prakasha Astra Bhede Nama Bheda Vaibhava Vilasa. So, like we said in Hindi, 24. In Bangla, I think it says Chabish. So, 24. From the original quadruple expansions, 24 forms are manifested. They differ according to the placement of the weapons in their forehands. They are called Vaibhav Vilas. Verse 192. Punah Krishna Chaturvyuha Lena Purva Rupe Paravyoma Madhye Vaise Narayana Rupe. Lord Krishna again expands, and within the Paravyoma, the spiritual sky, it is situated in fullness as the four-handed Narayan, accompanied by expansions of the original quadruple form. So Vyoma is sky, so Paravyoma is spiritual sky. So Para means of spiritual and Apara means of the material world. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, at the top of the Paravyom, the spiritual sky, there is Golok Vrindavan, which is divided into three parts. Two of the parts, called Mathura and Dwarka, are the residences of Krishna in his Prabha Vilas forms. Balram Krishna Vaibhav Prakash is eternally situated in Gokul. From the quadruple Prabha Vilas, 24 forms of the Vaibhav Vilas are expanded. Each has four hands holding weapons in different positions. The topmost planets in the spiritual sky is Golok Vrindavan, and below that planet is the spiritual sky itself. In that spiritual sky, Krishna himself is four-handed and is situated as Narayan. Verse 193. Tanha haite punah chaturvyuha prakasha avarana rupe chari dike yanravasa. Thus the original quadruple forms again manifest themselves in a second set of quadruple expansions. The residences of these second quadruple expansion covered the four directions. Verse 194. Chari janera punah prithak tina murti keshavadi yaha haite vilasera purti. Again, these quadruple forms expand three times, beginning with Keshav, that is the fulfillment of the pastime forms. Verse 195. Chakrati dharana bhede nama bheda sabha vasudevera murti keshav narayana madhava. While out of the Chaturvyu, there are three expansions of each and every form, and they are named differently according to the positions of the weapons. The Vasudeva expansions are called Keshav, Narayana and Madhav. Verse 196. Sankarshanera Murti Govinda Vishnu Madhusudana E Anya Govinda Nahi Vrajendra Nandana. The expansions of Sankarshan are Govinda, Vishnu and Madhusudan. This Govinda is different from the original Govinda, for he is not the son of Maharaj Nanda. So the expansions of Sankarshan, there is Govinda, that he is different. He's different because he's not the son of Maharaj Nanda. Verse 197. Pradyumnera Murti Trivikrama Vamana Sridhara Aniruddhera Murti Rikshikesha Padmanabha Damodara. The expansions of Pradyumna are Trivikram, Vaman and Sridhar, the expansions of Aniruddha, Rishikesh, Padmanabha and Damodar, verse 198. Dvadashmasera Devata Evarajana Margashirshe Keshva Paushe Narayana. These 12 are the predominating deities of the 12 months. Keshav is the predominating deity of Agrahayana, and Narayan is the predominating deity of Posh. So one is the deity of 1 month, other is deity of another month. So 12 different forms corresponding to the 12 different months. Each month has got its own special deity, particular deity. Verse 199. Magira Devata Madhav Govinda Falgune Chaitre Vishnu Vaishakhe Sri Madhusudana. The predominating deity of the month of Magh is Madhava, and the predominating deity of the month of Falgun is Govinda, which is going on at the moment. Falgun, yes. Varapurnima is about to be coming, and we also have Holi that day, and everyone knows this month is called the month of Falgun. And the presiding deity is Govinda. Vishnu is the predominating deity of Chaitra, and Madhusudan is the predominating deity of Vaishak. Jyeshthe Trivikrama Shadhe Vamana Devesha Shravane Sridhara Bhatre Deva Rishikesha. In the month of Jyeshtha, the predominating deity is Trivikram. In Ashar, the deity is Vaman. In Shravan, the deity is Sridhar. And in Bhadra, the deity is Rishikesh. This is verse 200. Verse 201 now. Ashwini Padmanabha Kartike Damodara Radha Damodara Anya Vrajendra Konara. In the month of Ashwin, the predominating deity is Padmanabha, and in the Kartik it is Damodar. This Damodar is different from Radha Damodar, the son of Nand Maharaj in Vrindavan. Verse 202. Dvadash tilaka mantra e dvadash nama achamane e name sparshi tat sthana. When putting the 12 tilak marks on the 12 places of the body, one has to chant the mantra consisting of these 12 Vishnu names. After daily worship, when one anoints the different parts of the body with water, these different names should be chanted as one touches each part of the body. Okay, so we learned something today from this verse, that after putting the tilaks, 12 different tilaks on the 12 places of body, one has to chant the mantra consisting of these 12 names of Vishnu. Also, after daily worship, when one anoints the different parts of the body with water, these names should be chanted also. As one touches each part of the body. Purport: while marking the body with tilak, one should chant the following mantra, which consists of 12 names of Lord Vishnu. Lalate Keshavam Dhyayen Narayanam Athudare Vakshasthale Madhavam Tu Govindam Kantha Kupake Vishnum Cha Dakshine Kuksau Baho Cha Madhusudanam Trivikrama Kandhare Tu Vamanam Vama Pashvake Sridharam Vama Baho Tu Rishikesham Tu Kandhare Prishthe Cha Padmanabham Cha Katyam Damodaram Nyaset. When one marks the forehead with tilak, he must remember Keshav. When one marks the lower abdomen, he must remember Narayan. For chest, one should remember Madhav, and when marking the hollow of the neck, one should remember Govinda. Lord Vishnu should be remembered while marking the right side of the belly, and Madhusudan should be remembered while marking the right arm. Trivikram should be remembered when marking the right shoulder, and Vaman should be remembered when marking the left side of the belly. Sridhar should be remembered while marking the left arm, and Rishikesh should be remembered when marking the left shoulder. Padmanabha and Damodar should be remembered when marking the back. So how beautiful this science is. Just when we put on the tilak for our protection, for the protection of this material body, we are remembering God's different names and we're able to chant them. Verse 203, Echari Janera Vilasa Murti Ara Ashtalana Tana Sabara Nama Kahishuna Sanātana. From Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, there are 8 additional pastime expansions. O Sanātana, please hear me as I mention their names. So how brilliant. First it was Rupa Gosvāmī, he was instructed. Now it's Sanātana Gosvāmī. We've been hearing his chapter. He's getting the instructions from Caitanya Mahāprabhu himself. Verse 204, Purushottama Chitta Nrsimha Janardana Hari Krishna Dhokshaja Upendra Ashtajana. The 8 pastime expansions are Purushottama Chitta Nrsimha Janardana Hari Krishna Dhokshaj and Upendra. Verse 205, Vasudevera Vilasa Dui Adhokshaja Purushottama Sankarshanera Vilasa Upendra Chitui Jana. Of these 8 expansions, 2 are pastimes of Vasudev. Their names are Adhokshaja and Purushottama. The 2 pastime forms of Sankarsana are Upendra and Achyuta. Verse 206, Pradyumnera Vilasa Nrsimha Janardana Aniruddhera Vilasa Hari Krishna Duijana. The pastime forms of Pradyumna, Nrsimha and Janardana, and the pastime forms of Aniruddha, Hari and Krishna. So the pastime forms of Pradyumna are Nrsimha and Janardana, Hari Bol, and the pastime forms of Aniruddha are Hari and Krishna. So you can see that no way we will be able to remember everything. We have to refer to these verses again whenever we need to remember this transcendental knowledge. Verse 207, Echabisha Murti Prabhava Vilasa Pradhana Astra Dharana Bede Dhare Bhinna Bhinna Nama. All these 24 forms constitute the chief Prabhava Vilas pastime forms of the Lord. They are named differently according to the position of the weapons in their hands. Verse 208, Inhara Madhya Yahare Haya Akara Vesha Bheda Saise Haya Vilasa Vaibhav Vibheda. Of all these, the forms that differ in dress and features are distinguished as Vaibhav Vilas. So Vaibhav is opulence, of course. So according to the different dress and features. Verse 209, Padmanabha Trivikram Nrsimha Vamana Hare Krishna Adi Haya Akare Vilakshana. Of these, Padmanabha Trivikram Nrsimha Vamana Hare Krishna and so on, all have different bodily features. Verse 210, Krishnera Papa Vilasa Vasudevadi Chari Jana Se Chari Janar Vilasa Vimshati Ganana. Vasudev and 3 others are direct Prabhav pastime forms of Lord Krishna. Of these quadruple forms, the pastime expansions are 20 in number. Verse 211, Inha Sabar Prathak Vaikunta Paravyo Madhame Purvadi Ashtadike Tina Tina Krame. All these forms preside over different Vaikunta planets in the spiritual world, beginning from the east in consecutive order. In each of the 8 directions, there are 3 different forms. Verse 212, Yadyapi Paravyoma Sabakara Nityadhama Tathapi Brahmande Karo Kanho Sannidhana. Although they all have their residences eternally in spiritual sky, some of them are situated within the material universes. Verse 213, Paravyoma Madhye Narayanera Nityasthiti Paravyoma Upari Krishna Lokera Vibhuti. There is an eternal residence of Narayan in the spiritual sky. In the upper portion of the spiritual sky is a planet known as Krishna Lok, which is filled with all the opulences. Verse 214, Eka Krishna Loka Haya Trividha Prakara Gokulakhya Mathurakhya Dwarakakhya Ara. The planet of Krishna Lok is divided into 3 sections: Gokul, Mathura and Dwarka. Verse 215, Mathurate Keshavera Nitya Sannidhana Nilachare Purushottama Jagannatha Nama. Lord Keshav eternally resides at Mathura and Lord Purushottam, known by the name of Jagannath, eternally resides at Nilachal. Verse 216. Prayage Madhava Mandare Sri Madhusudana Anandaranya Vasudeva Padmanabha Janardana. At Prayag, the Lord is situated as Bindu Madhav, and Mandara Parvat, the Lord is known as Madhusudan. Vasudeva Padmanabha Janardana reside at Ananda Aranya. Verse 217. Vishnu Kanchite Vishnu Hari Rahe Mayapure Aiche Aranana Murti Brahmanda Bhitare. At Vishnu Kanchi there is Lord Vishnu, at Mayapur Lord Hari, and throughout the universe a variety of other forms. Purport. This is a very lengthy purport. I'll just try to finish this purport and then we'll end our reading for today. So I think I should try to preserve my voice so that I can continue reading tomorrow as well. So the purport for verse number 217 is, all of these forms are Murti forms and they are worshipped in the temples. The names are Keshav at Mathura, Purushottam or Jagannath at Nilachal, Sri Bindu Madhav at Prayag, Madhusudan at Mandar, and Vasudeva Padmanabha and Janardhan at Anandaranya, which is situated in Kerala, South India. At Vishnu Kanchi is Lord Vardaraja, and Hari is situated in Mayapur, Lord Chaitanya's birth site. This is different places throughout the universe. There are various deities in temples bestowing their causeless mercy upon the devotees. All these deity forms are non-different from the murtis in the spiritual world of Vaikunthas. Although the Archamurti, the worshipable deity form of the Lord, appears to be made of material elements, it is as good as the spiritual forms found in the spiritual Vaikuntha Loka. The deity in the deity in the temple, I don't know what I'm saying. I think I've just come back from the Dham Yatra, so I'm still on the Delhi airport, you can see. The deity in the temple, however, is visible to the material eyes of the devotee. It is not possible for one in material conditioned life to see the spiritual form of the Lord. To bestow causeless mercy upon us, the Lord appears as the Archamurti so that we can see him. It is forbidden to consider the Archamurti to be made of stone or wood. In Padma Puran it is said, Arche Vishnu Shila Dhira Gurushu Naramatir Vaishnave Jati Buddhir Vishnur Va Vaishnava Nam Kalimala Mathane Pada Tirthe Ambu Buddhi Shri Vishnur Namni Mantre Sakala Kalush Hi Shabda Samanye Buddhire Vishnu Sarvesh Vareshe Taditar Samadhira Yasya Va Naraki Saha. No one should consider the deity in the temple to be made of stone or wood, nor should one consider the spiritual master an ordinary human being. No one should consider Vaishnav to be belonging to a particular caste or creed. One should not consider Charanamrit or Ganges water to be like of ordinary water. Nor should anyone consider the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to be material vibration. All these expansions of Krishna in the material world are simply demonstrations of the Lord's mercy and willingness to give facility to the devotees who are engaged in his devotional service within the material world. It's a very important line we've read here, that all the expansions of Krishna in the material world are simply demonstrations of Lord's mercy, because each expansion had its very particular pastime and helped and delivered so many souls. So it's all Lord's mercy and willingness to give facility to his devotees who are engaged in his devotional service within the material world. So God is so kind. So what we'll do is we'll continue our reading from verse number 218. I was hoping to read a lot today, but I think it's best for me to stop here so I don't lose my voice completely next time. And yes, as you know, at the we had the good fortune of visiting Sridham Mayapur last week, and we were at the opening ceremony of the Narsinga wing, and yeah, so much mercy. So I would request all of you, whatever time, energy, and according to circumstances, visit your local temples, and if you can visit the dhams, please do that. It will energize your bhakti like nothing else will. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Happy Mahashivratri to all of you. Shiva is the greatest of all Vaishnavas. He is the biggest bhakt of Krishna. As Vaishnavas, we think of him as Gopeshwar Mahadev, when he dressed up as a gopi so that he could take part in the Ras Lila of Krishna and the gopis, the Vrajavathus. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.